Global cases of the novel coronavirus hit over 8 million as Latin America, notably Brazil, is now the #2 hotspot in the world. This as concerns grow among border officials that illegal southern border crossers could trigger a second wave here in the U.S., as human rights activists say the U.S. should take in more criminal illegal border crossers who are sick with COVID-19. While the true impact of the pandemic south of the border is likely far greater due to a lack of widespread testing in Latin America. Let's welcome the Federalist senior editor back to the show, Christopher Bedford. Christopher, this looks like we've been reporting, we're trying to get out in front of this story. This looks like a growing problem. Your reaction?
There's basically no end to what different people in the left-wing activist community are willing to use COVID-19 to justify or not justify. So a lot of law-abiding citizens are not allowed to go to church. They're not allowed to meet with their family. They're not allowed to bury their dead as a family, buried loved ones, military members. But criminals should be released from prison. Illegals who are detained by ICE should be released from their jails. More people should be taken in with coronavirus. It's an unending list of demands and bans that have come across in the last few months. I think our society should learn a lot from it. But we probably shouldn't be too afraid of the disease, because the problem is the disease is already here. It's everywhere. It's not going to come from South America. Rates of infections might increase, but the border's got more security. It's still not great at all. That's not the main concern Americans should have. Border security, however, that's a major concern.
Well, COVID-19 is highly infectious and it's asymptomatic, and those maybe 35% of people who have it. So it is a concern. It could get people really sick, no?
Well, so far, it was a terrifying concern when COVID was first appearing on the horizon, when we were predicting somewhere between 3% and 6% death rates. Since then, I think a lot of governors and mayors and different localities have had to reevaluate the reaction that we've had as a nation outside of major cities like New York City to how much of a shutdown we've put into this and how much we've allowed fear to govern our policies on this. Now, I'm not saying that means you should take in illegal immigrants who have COVID-19. I think the country owes a duty to its citizens first, but it's not keeping me up at night like it was in March.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Chris, if you're still with me, listen, 2 times as many lives could be saved, MIT says, if you focus resources on those most vulnerable. Your reaction to basically the Trump administration reinforcing the border with Canada and the southern border, Europe, the president is getting blowback on that. But, you know, Europe has said no to visitors from the U.S., from Asia, from Latin America, from the Middle East into Europe. So Europe doesn't face criticism while the U.S. does for doing things like that. Your reaction?
The traffic between Mexico and the United States and Canada is unlike anywhere else that we have on the planet. However, if they are really concerned about this, before we can have rapid testing, there really shouldn't be a lot of international travel in general. That's not necessary or for trade.
Okay, your reaction to reports coming in that Google might be taking steps, the reports are conflicted here, against conservative media, maybe the Federalists, maybe pushing the Federalists off the ad platform at Google, saying the Federalist was notified, the site is not blocked yet. It has to do with the comments section on the Federalist, where you work at, where people were criticizing the protests. Can you break down what's going on here?
Well, I can tell you for certain that there's been a massive reaction on behalf of the Federalists and allies and Capitol Hill, allies in the media, and people just saying that this is flat out wrong to try to censor us. It's a very ham-fisted attempt by NBC News to try and censor, and I think it will be sorted out pretty quickly.
All right, so what happened? Was it the comments section on the Federalist that were talking negatively about the protests? What triggered this at the Federalist with what happened with Google possibly moving to ban you guys?
That's the current claim from Google right now, that is what triggered it. We've got an op-ed coming out from 2 of our founders, Ben Domenech and Sean Davis, about how they dealt with this, what really happened. But for right now, I can say for certain that NBC News has had to change their story, and Google was very, very quick to shut it down. The question is whether or not Google actually is on the side of truth in this matter, or whether Google is just in retreat after a very clumsy attack. They're blaming
All right,
the comment
Christopher
section now.
Bedford of the Federalist. Got you. I hear you on that. Christopher Bedford of the Federalist, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.